go. Tonight on the Mac to the Future livecast, we have why you need a password manager, APFS for Apple's Fusion drives any day now. Let's see. The FBI exaggerated the number of mobile devices that they said they wanted to break into, that they wanted Apple's help for, and multiple class action lawsuits for butterflies. For butterflies. Can you believe that? All tonight on the Mac to the Future livecast. Okay, here we are once again with Ecamm still not being able to do transitions between scenes, but that's okay because it's the Mac to the Future livecast, and I have Mr. Warren Sklar. How are you today, sir? Actually, I kind of need to turn our names on. There you go. There's you, and there's me.
Am I actually here?
You are. You're here. You're live. You're there.
I'm here. Hey, I'm good. How you been? Feels like it's been a while. I don't know.
Well, let's see. I don't think you were on. Were you on last week?
No.
I don't know.
I don't remember. Maybe.
Well, this weekend or last weekend was really super busy. Went to North Carolina for a family reunion on my wife's side, and we went to 4 graveyards. Graveyards.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no. All right. I guess maybe some context is required here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to go the wrong way. I mean, was it a sad trip?
She's really into graveyards, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
I'm assuming you're visiting people in there.
Yes.
Maybe?
Well,
Okay.
not exactly. A lot of her family on her father's side is from the North Carolina area, so we go down there once a year for this family reunion. And since Tracy retired, she's also been doing a lot of genealogy research, and the best place to do that is right at the source. So besides visiting graveyards where she has found, all kinds of long-lost relatives, there's also a family research center, I think it's called something like that, that's in Smithfield, North Carolina, and she likes to get a couple hours in there every single time we go. Now, I would have thought that after like the first 3-4 visits that she'd run out of material, but she always finds new stuff. Probably a lot of it is related to information that she gets once, she puts out some information, other people pick up on that, and then, you roll with it that way. And
so she's not visiting recently departed people.
No, not at all recently departed. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to say the guy's name. He's long dead, but because there are people in that area that are related to him, I'm not going to say his name. We just refer to him as Uncle Stabby. He was a bootlegger back in the 40s, and the reason why we call him Uncle Stabby is he stabbed someone 4 times and didn't go to jail for it, and the guy didn't die, so we're not really sure what he tried to stab him with.
The 40s was a different time.
30s. This was the 30s.
The 30s was a different time.
But but we just like to call him Uncle Stabby. That just seems to be a good name for him. And the amount of illegitimate children that are just like bopping up all over the place shows me that as far as the human condition goes, it hasn't really changed over the last God knows how many millennia that human beings have been around.
Does your wife do the online kits yet?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Nancy Jackson, there are family members that you could probably relate to. So hey, that's how that works. Over there in the chat room, speaking of cousins, besides Tracy and my cousin Nancy Jackson. There's also my cousin Ken Nichols who's in there. Old family friend that I knew when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, Bill Roth. A woman that I work with, DB. We have all kinds of people over there in the chat room, and thank you all so very, very much for being part of the grand experience that is the Mac to the Future livecast.
It's Mac to the Future guys family podcast.
Yeah. I actually told her that if she wanted to do a podcast on genealogy, I don't know how many of those that are around, but
I think they're getting popular now. So.
Yeah, I've got all kinds of spare equipment that I could set up for her. But
we have one of those kits. We got him for Christmas, and I'm just scared to do it. I don't want to know.
Oh, one of those 23andMe things?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that.
I don't know which one it is. Yeah, I'm scared to do it. My immediate family scares me enough.
Well, the thing is, regardless of what you find out and who you might be related to, for the most part, they're all dead, so it doesn't matter. I mean, what's the big deal?
Yeah. There was a story of somebody who was actually found out they were related to the California killer guy. Did you see that one?
Well, you need to kind of have a little more context than California killer guy, because there's quite a few of them out there.
No, the one that was
California?
Just caught.
That was they'll tell us in the chat room.
The California.
Yeah, not the Zodiac killer. It was a different guy.
Yeah,
I don't think the Zodiac killer was ever caught. And didn't he turn out to be like a cop or something? Or used to be a cop?
This one that just no, I don't think so. But there was a whole podcast series about him, and the dead wife of Patton Oswalt wrote a book about him. It was weird.
So I take it she wrote that book before she died.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because
most of it. Yeah. And then the weird part was somebody somehow these genealogy online companies led to his arrest somehow. And there was a whole concern about privacy, and they just shared the data with each other, and somehow they call him. And there's a story there, but it had to do with those kids.
Okay. Well, you're a killer and you get caught. I'm good with that. I don't care how old you are.
California killer. All right.
And apparently I had a grandfather Normandy, talking about on the Grinnell side of the family, Ken, because I'm not directly related to the Grinnells.
Golden State Killer, maybe? Was that him?
Could be.
Yeah, I think that was him.
Okay. Well, let's get out of all this gloom and doom and talk about some Apple stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to post this link about this guy in there. But let's go. Yep, let's do this.
Okay, well, the first one is a story that I picked up on over there in, what is the name of that site? dashlane.com. And I'm going to post a link to it here as soon as it comes up. There it is.
There's my link about the Golden State Killer.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And that's what came up. And mine didn't come up for some reason.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. This is...
I don't know.
Yeah, it's blog.dashlane.com. 9 reasons to download a password manager. So we're going to go over those 9 reasons. And they're all very, very good reasons why you definitely want to have... What is going on here? Why you want to have a password manager. Number 1, okay, I'll drop that right there. You will never forget another password. And do you use a password manager?
I keep saying I'm going to,
but you don't.
No. I should get one. I'm pretty good with passwords right now. I'm good with them. My wife isn't, so I'm thinking about getting it for her. but I'm not sure how to go about it.
Well, how do you manage to like go through all of your different websites and stuff and keep different passwords?
Every browser now kind of does it
Has
for
a
you.
password manager?
Yeah,
Sort of, yeah.
Firefox has one, and I use either Safari or Firefox, and both of them have password managers in them.
Well,
They're not the same. They're not the same as these programs. These programs do something different, which is basically give you a more secure password, but then it does the legwork for you as far as, typing in, getting to it. So when you use these password managers, you might type in the password as whatever password, but it's actually creating a, really good.
Yeah, it goes
password.
into your Apple's keychain.
No, well, that Safari does and like Firefox does, but these password.
Well, I think Chrome does their own thing, which isn't necessarily.
But these password managers, I think, are their own thing. They store.
Yes.
They store it.
Well, like I use. Oh damn! What do 1Password? I use 1Password.
Right.
And they are trying like hell to get me to move to their subscription service, and I am just not interested. They just updated theirs to level 7. Now I got mine through the Mac App Store, but I can't get the new standalone version unless I do it through their website, and that makes me nervous as far as, at what point are they, if I get it through their website, at what point are they just going to say, okay, well, we did this update and we've converted you to the subscription model and you have 30 days to switch over or you lose all your stuff. So I don't know. I may need to start looking for another one. One thing I do like about it though, it's like 256-bit encryption. So it's very, very secure. And I keep a copy of it in my Dropbox account. So no matter what computer I'm on, if I can get to my Dropbox account, I can get to all my passwords.
Right. Yeah, I hear good things about it. And, the thing with like if you use Safari, like a later version of Safari now, and if you don't have one of those password managers and you're creating something that requires a password, it's going to come up and say Safari could recommend a password for you. And it will be this horrible chain of letters and numbers and symbols.
Right.
And I never let it do it because it scares me. Because
well, I mean, they're good passwords. Those are great passwords. Nobody would ever be able to guess them.
But if some reason, something goes wrong on Safari or the keychain, then I have no idea what that was.
Yeah,
I'm not remembering.
You lose your keychain, or if your keychain gets corrupted, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, my password situation is not great, but
Okay, well, we don't have to go into all the details because you don't want to give anyone.
I'm knocking my wood.
Knock wood.
I'm knocking on my wood. Yes. So far so good. So,
okay. Well, the 9 reasons to get a password manager that you're not doing. You'll never forget another password.
No, you gotta start from 9 down.
Oh, sorry. Number 9. You'll never forget another password. Number 8. You'll never use hackable passwords. Number 7. It's like an impenetrable bank for your passwords. Number 6. You'll be prepared for the next data breach. Number 5. You'll change compromised passwords before it's too late. Number 4. It's the safest way to store passwords with friends, family, and colleagues. Number 3. It keeps your wallet safely in your pocket. Number 2, your current system is dangerous and you might not know it. And the number 1 reason why you need a password manager is that they are easier to use than you think. Thank you.
Hold on.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. Well, if I'd known we were going to do that, I would have put a funny one at the bottom of it. But
we have like a soundboard of like a crash.
Let's see. Nope. That's not it. Unless let me start that right here.
Should I evacuate?
Yes. Okay.
So get a password manager. So yeah,
so get a password manager. Believe it, and they are a lot easier to use than you think. And I've used one for a very, very long time, and I keep my credit card information in there. So if I don't even need to pull my wallet out. I don't need to have my credit cards on me. As long as I've got access to 1Password, I've got access to all of this great stuff. And it's reasonably priced. And there are other ones that are less expensive as well. But that's the one I use is for now, 1Password.
Awesome.
Okay, so macOS 10.13 comes out, and a large number of Mac systems that Apple sells have this little thing that's called a Fusion Drive. Fusion Drive. And as it turns out, the new version of the Mac OS does not support Apple's own Fusion Drives. And of course, APFS stands for, Warren?
Apple something file system.
Okay.
Apple something file system.
Yeah. The P stands for something. I don't know. I was hoping you would know, which is why I tossed it your way.
Apple's psychotic file system.
There we go. Yes. So Macs are nuclear. Let me see. I'm trying to get to. Here we go.
Well, back to the old drawing board.
Exactly. So because all of these Fusion drives cannot go to the new file system, they're still on the older file system, which Apple has had for many years.
AFS.
AFS. And Craig Federighi, who is Apple's software engineer. Actually, would you go ahead and put that link in there, Warren?
Yep.
So their software engineer, vice president, Craig Federighi, claims that APFS support for Fusion drives is coming soon to a Mac near you. Let me go ahead and put that up there real quick. There you go. So there's the link to the story.
I did it too. What are you doing? You must be in the other room. So.
Yeah. Well, there's no actual date that that Craig said that it was coming out, and considering that WWDC, which we'll probably talk about pretty soon, because I think that's coming up in just a few weeks.
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. That's coming. That's right around the corner, and I'm sure they'll be talking about, exciting things like macOS 10.14 instead of 10.13, which is what most of us are on now. So, yeah.
Right. So when this was, God, what was it, 2 years? Is this almost 2 years that?
No, it was just last year.
Was it?
Or unless you want to also include the
iOS,
the beta releases.
Yeah, hold on. I think it was 2 years. 2 years ago.
Okay, for iOS devices, yes.
No, 2 years ago is when I was at that WWDC, and that's 2 WWDCs ago that they announced APFS. They started talking about it. So
but didn't they release it with iOS? What are we on now? iOS 11? Didn't they release that with 10? Wasn't that APFS for iOS devices?
10 or 11. They released it.
Now, those are all, across the board, those are all
they released
SSDs
it,
and they're not spindle drives.
APFS that year for iOS. Then last year they started putting on SSDs on the Mac. When they first started, the betas were coming out, they were for all drives, and then they just went to SSD.
Because the original betas supported Fusion drives for like the first or second.
It wasn't even, initially it wasn't even just Fusion. It was any drive was getting it.
Yeah.
I think it will run on anything. I think what they're finding out is it doesn't make much of a difference in performance on those drives, and maybe that's there must have been some kind. I don't remember hearing about any issues with spindle drives and Fusion drives when the betas were out. Those first couple of betas that it was included on, but then all of a sudden Apple, released the next beta,
and it was gone. It was gone. So,
Yeah.
and it never came back.
So I think, I think they're just trying to tweak it at this point. People get upset about this, but as of right now, it doesn't make, according to everybody, it doesn't make a difference in anything. You might save some space because it runs a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's a tighter.
This is a file system.
Yeah, it's a tighter file system. So the bricks, the blocks are much smaller where it stores each little bit of information. And APFS was actually built for digital drives. For people who don't know what fusion drives are, this is kind of a hybrid of the new and the old with higher, less expensive capabilities of spindle type hard drives fused with the speed of SSDs. The system, and it used to be a much larger SSD that they included with these fusion drives. I think now it's down to about 64 megs. But the way it basically works is the system looks at common tasks that are performed by the user and preloads data onto the SSD portion of it with the theory that it's supposed to provide faster speeds than regular spindle drives. Now, as we were saying, earlier versions of 10.13 High Sierra beta versions included support for fusion drives, but then they disappeared in later versions. And the first actual released version of High Sierra, it wasn't there at all. Now, that being said, the move to APFS hasn't been without a few hiccups of its own, which is most likely why, though Apple hasn't really said why their own fusion drives included in most of their higher-end computers didn't get APFS. And, frankly, it's a little embarrassing. Don't you think?
I mean, yeah, but if you look at the picture of them changing the file system for all devices within like 2 years, they're doing pretty good. I mean, if this was any other company, if Microsoft was trying to get off their NTFS to something else, it would be a hot mess. So they're being cautious. They're being very cautious with it. And it's, at this point, people, I think, are under a false impression that it's going to make that much of a difference for them. And that's not the case. I think Apple, if Craig Federighi was looking, he would just say, relax, your Mac is working fine. You'll get it when you get it. It's not, you're not going to it's not a big deal. And when I went from, I guess it was Sierra to High Sierra is when I converted over because I have SSD drives. It wasn't earth shattering. I mean, there were,
how much space did you get? I got quite a bit of space back on my drives.
I don't remember, but it was a little bit, but yeah, I mean, again, if you didn't tell me it was APFS,
you wouldn't have known.
I wouldn't have known. So
genius. That's what it is. Sheer genius.
So yeah. I think just let them. There's a few things you want Apple to rush on. Changing the file system around, and this is, where's my air mat? I want that. Where's my iCloud sync? You could do that. Where's that? Changing my file systems around. Yeah, my computers are booting. I'm pretty happy. Let's slow down a bit.
Well, there was one other thing that Craig Federighi said, and it was this.
Well, back to the old drawing board.
Yes, that's what he said. Now, like I said, it is kind of embarrassing, but it hasn't stopped them from not releasing a solution. And as always, when Apple does release APFS for Fusion drives, one of the very first things that you should be doing before installing it is doing a complete backup of everything that's on any drive that you're planning on converting over to APFS, because if you don't, you may very well be sorry, because once the process is started, anything that was on that drive, if it goes bad, you will never see again.
Right. So also keep this in mind. third-party companies are slowly getting support for APFS that need to work with that.
Yep.
Carbon Copy Cloner and Super Duper are the big ones that I think one of them is finally just getting on board with it, but for a while they weren't. So take a time machine backup because you don't know if you're going to be able to clone back from one of these vendors that rely on those file systems where time machine doesn't really get it.
Can you take an APFS formatted drive and convert it back?
No, it's destructive. You have to format it. You
would lose everything that was on the drive.
Yeah, I've done it back and forth many times. You go into disk utility, you go in the hierarchy on the top level, and you delete the drive out, and then you add it back as
except of course on your boot drive. You can't do that on your boot drive.
Sure you can.
Not if you're booted to it.
Well, you don't boot to it. You boot off an Internet Recovery or an installer.
Well, okay. Well, we're going to take a little break here, everyone, and when we come back, when we come back, we've got stuff about the FBI and butterflies. Do you like butterflies? I like butterflies.
I like the topic. I am going to love that topic.
Okay,
we'll get there.
So we'll be right back.
This is Private Eye Macintosh, and I'm here to tell you about a book written about me and my search for the Maltese Cube. Yes, it's a fine book. I think you should get it. Quiet, you. It combines technology, Mac trivia, action, murder, suspense. Oh, just tell them where to get it. I'll get to that. Romance, film noir detective fiction. I can't stand it anymore. It's called The Maltese Cube, and it was written by my Mac writer and podcaster Guy Searle. Find it on Amazon. It's only $2.99 and coming soon to the Apple's iBook store. Don't forget, it's The Maltese Cube and so inexpensive. You know you're not in it, right? I mean the next one, right? Sure thing, Louie. You know, this could be the start of a beautiful friendship. Get the Maltese Cube on Amazon and soon in the iBook store.
One, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're back. Hello, hey. Warren.
Hi again.
Okay. Don't know how long we'll be going on this one, but I think you're excited about the one after it. It turns out, the FBI exaggerated by a scotch, just a little bit, the number of locked mobile devices in all their reports. Now, Warren, you might remember when the FBI said that they needed Apple to create a secure backdoor into iOS that only they could use because they had over 7,800 mobile devices related to potential criminal activities that they could not access. The most famous being the phones that were used by the San Bernardino couple that killed several people, which is what kind of started the whole thing. Did you go ahead and put that link in? This was a story I see it. This was a story that I got off The Verge, so go ahead and check that out there. Well, as it turns out, Warren, the actual number of phones, and they still don't know exactly how many because, they're the FBI and can't count apparently, is somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 phones, with the FBI claiming that the error was because they were using 3 different databases that apparently all these phones were in, so they got counted multiple times. And apparently in these 3 different databases, even within individual databases, they must have had the same phones listed a couple times, because there's no way you can go from 1,000 to 2,000 and then somehow end up at 7,800.
Apple is good at making the FBI look like fools, it seems a little bit.
Yeah.
And they've done it a few times, and what the big one was kind of like if the FBI would have came to us, first before they tried to monkey
Break
around with
into
it, we could have helped you. If Woody would have gone right to the police, this would never happen. So I'm thinking that Apple and the FBI are getting to know each other a little bit better throughout these years, since this has been going on, because it hasn't been good, but eventually I think they'll get a good relationship going, and they'll, it's a privacy versus protection,
Right.
you know.
Well,
And,
the thing that worries me is if the FBI manages through the courts to force Apple to provide a backdoor into iOS. Number one, how soon before that becomes common knowledge?
Yeah.
Because you can't keep something like that secret. Number two, what happens when other countries say, well, you know what? We would like that same backdoor. Or you can't sell phones in our country. Right now they can kind of take the high ground. Apple can, by saying, hey, we didn't provide it to the U.S. government. We didn't provide it to the FBI. So don't ask us because we can't do it and we won't do it. So, but I think all that's out the window if a U.S. government agency, especially one that's law enforcement, manages to coerce Apple into doing it. I think at that point all bets are off. And really, that's pretty much would be the end of iOS as a secure platform.
Yeah. No, it's a debate that's been going on. You see the stories about the black box and the Celebrate box and things like that, and how that thing's able to hack passcodes, which is still.
Well, how do you think that works? I have a theory.
From what I read, the thing jailbreaks it as it's connected, and then it goes through a code cracker. It tries different combinations of letters, and it's not a theory. This is what it does. It jailbreaks it to the point where it's able to do this code cracking thing, where it tries different digits until it finds it. So if you read about it, it will say that it could get like a 4-digit code within a couple of hours, like 6 and more time, and then more. The longer the code, the longer it takes to get into it, and that's how they say it works.
Well, how do they get around the 9 try limit before it wipes itself out? Do they just download the memory into something else, try 8 times, and then re-download it? Or
it does take an image. I think it does that too. I think it takes an image copy of it somehow and either uses that or puts it back. I know jailbreaking is part of it, and I think that's why it only works on a certain. It doesn't go up to an X, or you can't do the later phones that can't be jailbroken. And of course, now they're also doing something where Apple says the next operating system release for iOS is going to, after a certain amount of time, it makes the Lightning connection just power and not data. So you'll be able to charge your phone with the Lightning. So if you don't log in for a day, you won't be able to connect it to iTunes. It won't recognize it.
No, I mean, how soon are we? I mean, even now with Apple Music and not just Apple Music, but the TV app that's on the phones and iPads now, you don't really need to connect to iTunes that much anymore. Not even to update the phones.
Marcus Benjamin says something that's true. I'm sorry, but he's right. It creates virtual machines, and I did read that too. Basically, it will create a virtual machine on it, and it copies it to the virtual machines, and just keeps wiping and trying things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, Johnny.
So it tries it like 8 times, and if it doesn't work, it reloads it.
Reload something, yeah.
Okay.
Johnny Ive wants to get rid of. I mean, this Lightning port eventually will go. ports on all phones will eventually go, I think, between wireless charging and doing everything without the cable. But right now it's not.
Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to that.
See what happens.
Yeah, I actually, because I have the 8, and that that doesn't have a headphone port, does it? I think okay, haven't missed it, and I have and I got the little dongle adapter, never used it.
Nope.
For the most part, when I'm listening to audio off the phone, I'm in a car, and in the 2 rental cars that I've had lately, actually I got the I had a Kia Soul a couple of weeks ago when my wife and I went to West Virginia and Pennsylvania. Well, this trip, they didn't have it, and they gave me a Buick Encore, which also had CarPlay. And, I have to say, even though the Buick was a smoother ride, I like the fit and finish and road feel of the Kia as compared to the Buick. Which the weird thing is they're both made in South Korea. The Buick Encore, the Chevy Trax.
Encore or Enclave? I think it's a Buick Enclave.
It's the Enclave is like the middle one. The Encore is the smaller one, and then you got the Chevy Trax, and then there's a GMC version of it as well. But they're all made by the same company in South Korea.
Right.
Didn't like it as much as I did the Soul, but I am glad I tried it, and I didn't have as much legroom either.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I don't with CarPlay. I don't know what's. I mean, CarPlay uses a cable too, so that'll have to change. But I mean, the FBI, they will. I think. From what the news is saying, there is somebody in the FBI that had become friendly with Apple. Apple has a contact now, so in the FBI, and I think they work together, and they'll try to figure it out.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, the last story we have of the evening is multiple
butterflies.
multiple class action lawsuits over the butterfly keyboards.
Let's do this. My favorite.
This was a story. Let me go ahead and copy this and put it in so everyone can see it as well. This was a story that I saw in. Now, there were several stories, several people have had it, but I got it out of Apple Insider, and there's the link there at the top of the screen.
Yeah, it's all over.
There are currently at least 2 class action lawsuits filed in Northern California over what is claimed to be a defective design in regards to Apple's Butterfly keyboard. For their newer keyboards over the last few years, the keyboard design was introduced with the new MacBook in 2015 and then was also used in the 2016 and above MacBook Pro line. According to claims in the lawsuit, the design is defective as keys get easily clogged, necessitating the replacement of the entire keyboard. Apple has several suggestions for stuck keys, including using forced air to remove particles that may get stuck inside the keyboard. Now, you've been waiting for this, so you go ahead.
All right. So, yes, I've joined the lawsuits. There's a way on these websites where you could join into the class action suit.
Now, what machine do you have that has had the problem?
Don't judge me, but I buy a lot of. I like to keep my things new. So I've owned a 2015, 2016, and 2017 MacBook, the 12-inch MacBook with a keyboard, and the 2016 and 2017 MacBook Pro. Currently, I'm with a 2017. Currently, I'm with a 2017 MacBook and a 2017 MacBook Pro. My son has a 2017 Pro without the Touch Bar. So I've had a lot of these keyboards.
Right, the butterfly keyboards.
As far as I know, I was one of the first ones to go to Apple with this problem with the 2015 MacBook because they didn't know what to do about it. I think they had my machine for about a month at that point.
Did they give you another one to work off of while they had it?
No, they don't do that.
Ah.
I had another one because that's what I do, but I have my 2015 Pro.
Of course you do.
But they didn't know what to do with it because this was a new thing for them. So what happened with that one is one key, you push a key and it types like 20 times or something like that.
Right, it gets stuck. So
right.
basically, because the way, as I understand it, the way that this key works as compared to other keyboards is there's actually a touch sensitive part on both sides of the key. So regardless of which side you actually press, a character is generated. So if one of those sides is clogged, when you hit it, it's just going to keep repeating until it gets unclogged.
Right. The butterfly, if you think about it, is basically like the wings of a butterfly underneath the keyboard, and when you push down, it's pushing down kind of on. There's no side movements. It's up and down kind of thing. So I had that, and then my 2016 did the same thing, and they replaced the top case. So what happens with these is you can't replace
just
easily the keyboard or the keys. You have to replace the whole thing. And then my 2016, so it happened one more time with one of my other ones, but I spilled pickle juice on that one.
Is there like a pickle juice detector sensor inside of the
I got lucky with that because
the laptop?
They did not find it, and they replaced it too. So that's actually one thing that they improved on with this keyboard, and nobody talks about it, but because we've opened these up when I worked at the Apple reseller, and basically they've gotten a lot better with this plastic membrane that sits underneath the whole thing. So when you do spill, it doesn't go into the actual part of the computer.
But you still say this. Why?
Yes.
Is that stuttering for you too? Do you hearing like a stutter?
Yes.
Okay.
So anyways, it's happened to me 3 times throughout the last 3 years. So it's real. It's a real thing. It sucks, and it's these lawsuits are going to be stupid. If anything, maybe the lawyers make some money and we don't.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much the way it always works.
The class, not the petition is stupid because they are saying that if your keyboard breaks, they should replace it with a different type of keyboard.
Which they can't really do based on the design.
They would have to re-engineer the whole thing. So I would be happy if they have a service repair extension for these machines, pretty much last at least the life of the machine, to replace the keyboard if it needs to be replaced. And I think that's,
well,
I think that's
don't
fair.
they have to actually replace the entire top shell?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they will. Yeah. So, I've been scared. I mean, I've gotten Apple Care on my Macs and my son's Macs, and I've been dealing with these because the keyboard skin,
right,
which aren't great, and I use them because I'm scared that it's going to stop working. Yep, exactly. So yeah, it's the lawsuits are dumb and the petition's stupid, but the problem is.
But it sounds like it sounds like what's even dumber is the butterfly keyboard. Yeah,
it was a quest to make it thin, is what they did, and they'll fix it. They'll fix it in some other way. A lot of people don't like typing. Alexa, off.
Yeah, you tell her. You tell her. Go ahead. You tell her. You tell Alexa, off.
Alexa,
biatch.
Hang up.
That is a spam caller.
I get so much spam.
Do you actually have to say it like that to get her to do it? Alexa, stop that. Leave it alone.
Alexa, say hi to Guy.
Yep, didn't hear it. It's not loud enough to get through the filter.
She's still talking.
Yeah, I don't hear it. So anyway, if you have a butterfly keyboard, if you would put in a link to, if they want to join the class action lawsuit or whatever other information that there may be, go ahead and put that either on the regular Facebook side or the Mac to the Future Facebook side, whichever one is where people are watching this live cast. So that's kind of it for content for tonight. Going to talk about, once again, MacStock 2018, which is in its fourth year. The dates are the 21st and 22nd of July, and it's going to be just outside of Chicago in Woodstock, Illinois, at the Leach Conference Center, which is located in Building B of the McHenry County College in Crystal Lake, Illinois. This is actually, all kidding aside, it's really a beautiful facility. The acoustics are amazing. The seats are really, really comfortable. And you couldn't ask for a nicer place to have a conference like this. Now, some of the speakers this year include Dr. Mac, Bob Levitas, who's giving the keynote. He's also going to be involved in the My Mac game show quiz that Tim Robertson and I are going to be doing. Allison Sheridan is going to be there. Wally Twinski is going to be there. There's going to be so many great names that if you've been to this conference in the past that you've seen or you've heard them through podcasts or whatever, the cost for the entire conference with no add-ons to jack up the price is $99 for a single-day ticket or $249 for both days. This includes lunch, the T-shirt, lunch on both days, the T-shirt, other special swag for weekend pass holders, the Midwest Mac Mingle on Saturday night, which is always a blast that Barry Falk puts in. But that's $249. But wait, there's less. If you use the coupon code MyMac, MYMAC, you will get $79 off that, $79 off that price. I know I'm screwing this up. It'll basically bring your price down from $249 down to $179. So whatever that minus is, it's taking off all that money for the entire conference. So $179 for 2 days of just incredible fun, frolic, and frivolity with all of your favorite Mac personalities, except for me, because I'll be there too. But you can find out more information and get your tickets to the MacStock 2018 conference and expo by going to, if you just Google MacStock 2018, it'll come up. I know that Mike Potter, who runs this event, has about 10,000 different URLs that you can type in to get to MacStock 2018. And I happen to know for a fact that he has already reserved MacStock 2019 and MacStock 2020. So we've got at least 2 more years of MacStock after this one, but this is the one that you want to go to. This, it's now 4 years old. It's going to be a great, great show. Don't miss it. Warren, I know people can find you on Facebook. Is that correct?
Still, yes.
Still.
Yes.
And you can find me. My email address is guy@mttfgo.com or guy@mymac.com. I am Mac Parrot on the Twitters. We have a Skype telephone number that no one from this show has yet called. It's 703-436-9501. And if you would like to help me with all the content I create, you can buy me a coffee at Ko-fi, and that's ko-fi.com/MacParrot, or you can help support me on Patreon, patreon.com/MacParrot. Now, actually, I forgot to mention this, Warren. I'm also doing Guy's Daily Drive, though I haven't posted one in about a week because I've been really, really busy. I am in the process right now. It is submitted to iTunes of getting those converted over to just audio. And you can go ahead and download the audio version of Guy's Daily Drive. It's like 15 minutes. So perfect for that short commute that you have to God knows where. I'm in the process right now of converting all those over to audio from video, and will be posting those up over at Podbean, which is where I'm hosting them. And there's no charge for getting any of this stuff. It's all free. There's no charge for any of it. We just like doing it, and I appreciate the fact that people like Gazmaz over at the mymac.com podcast, and of course Warren here on the Mac to the Future livecast has consented to join me in the madness each and every week, whether on the weekend or Wednesday nights. So thank you, Warren.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I think that
if you do the daily drive, and when you get, are you going to get the new car eventually?
Yes.
Okay. So that will be like the like anniversary special episode.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for enough Patreon supporters to pay for the car for me. So,
Okay.
Yeah, because that's going to happen.
That's going to be a...
Oh, yeah, so that's a thing.
You're going for the 2027 Kia, I think.
Yeah, but except it'll still be the 2014 model. In 2027. That is going to about do it for this evening. Thank you all for being here. We really, really do appreciate it. So say goodnight, Warren.
Sign that petition. Join the lawsuit. You got to fight. Good night.
Warren.
Warren.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.